I'm Lance, 31, and last Tuesday I walked out of work into a crime scene made of sunlight and silence. My 2024 Corolla, my first new car, just paid off, still shiny under its layer of job site dust, was gone. The parking spot was just empty. Like it had never existed. My helper yelled from the roof. "You good?" I lied. I said yes. "I called my mom before I called the cops." She said, "Relax. We gave it to Brian." That's how this started. Not with a theft, but with a sentence that hit me harder than any crowbar ever could. We gave it to Brian. Not. He borrowed it. Not. There's been a mix-up. Not. Let me explain. Just a casual handover of the one thing I'd worked 12 years to earn, my first new car. My name was on the title, the registration, the insurance. My name. Brian is my younger brother. 26. Charming in a way that gets people to cover tabs. He's totaled 2 cars. One because he drove on bald tires in the rain and said the ditch came out of nowhere. The other because he ignored the oil light. He said warning lights are a scam. Last year he tried reselling sneakers and called himself a business owner. He owes me $600 from a forklift certification he never finished. But this story isn't about Brian. It's about me finally choosing not to be the family doormat with a high credit score. I've been roofing since I was 19. I'm the guy who shows up with coffee in a thermos and his name stitched into his shirt. I make rent. I help when people are short. I replace the alternator, show up when storms hit, and patch problems without being asked. I was taught to be useful, not noisy. When I saw the empty parking spot, I thought maybe I parked wrong. Maybe I moved it and forgot. I hit the fob. Nothing. I crouched like it might be hiding behind a Dodge Ram. I called my mom because that's what you do when you're in trouble and some part of you still believes she'll fix it. Instead, she said, "He had an interview. His last car was totaled. You're always at work anyway." I went still. Like still. Like silent scream inside your ribcage still. "Where are my keys?" I asked. "In the junk drawer," she said. "You keep a spare there." Brian knew about the drawer. The drawer full of my life's little boundaries, my spare fob, my title envelope, my DMV receipt. She knew what was in that drawer. She said she'd keep it safe. They took it. They took it because they assumed I'd say nothing. Because I always have. I didn't scream. I didn't rant in the group chat. I filed a police report. I gave them the plate, the VIN, my name. I said the word stolen out loud for the first time. It felt like cursing in church. I didn't care. That car was mine. And for the first time in a long time, so was my voice. I didn't hear anything for a full day. No. My bad. No. We panicked. No. It's just temporary. Just silence from the family group chat, that awful kind of curated quiet where everyone's reading, no one's replying, and you can practically smell the gossip stirring offline. Then came the texts. "Brian. Yo, chill, I needed it for a thing. I'll bring it back Monday. Mom. Don't make this bigger than it is. We're family. Dad. Son, this isn't the kind of thing you report to the police." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Every message felt like a wet rag on a grease fire. Instead, I finished the job I was on. Full roof strip and resheet on a duplex for a retired couple who paid in cash and homemade lemonade. I got sunburned across my collarbones and didn't care. I needed the ache. That night I drove the company truck, not mine, not personal, straight to my parents' house. I didn't knock. I walked in, found the junk drawer. Empty. No spare fob. No title envelope. Just a pencil sharpener and a pack of rubber bands that smelled like old onions. My mom was in the kitchen slicing zucchini like it was a casual Tuesday. I held up the drawer like a piece of evidence. "Where's my key?" She didn't even flinch. "Brian needed it. He's family." "So am I said. She tilted her head like I'd said something in a foreign language. "Don't be petty. Taking someone's car is theft. You're blowing this out of proportion. No. You're shrinking it to fit your comfort." My dad sat in the living room, watching the news like it was a shield. When I turned to him, he actually muttered, "It's just a car, son." I held up the drawer again. It's not just a car. It's 12 years of late nights and early mornings. It's the first thing I ever bought for myself that wasn't secondhand or financed with guilt. Dad didn't even blink. I walked out. Not in a storm. Not with doors slamming. Just done. The next day, I got a call from a local cop. My Corolla had been found. Parked 2 blocks from a vape shop. No plates. Window cracked open. Fast food bag in the passenger seat. They asked if I wanted it towed or picked up. I said to impound it. Because now this was about more than just the car. It was about what happens when the quiet one stops playing nice. The fallout came faster than a roof slide in a windstorm. Brian called first, voice high with disbelief. You actually reported it? Like to the cops? You stole it, I said flat. You're out of your damn mind, he shot back. It's family. Family borrows things. You didn't borrow it, Brian. You used a stolen key and took my registered vehicle without asking. That's not borrowing. That's Grand Theft Auto without the graphics. Click. Mom texted next. We're horrified. You made this a legal issue. I didn't reply. She tried again. You know he could get arrested for this, right? Yes. That was the idea. I printed the report and slid it into a yellow folder along with my title copy, the insurance docs, and every text message like I was building a case file for court. Not to take to trial, just to protect myself, like emotional body armor. Sunday dinner was the real showdown. They still invited me. Bring something if you come, Mom said. Like it was a potluck and not a hostage negotiation. I brought potato salad and my folder. They were all there. Mom, Dad, Brian, Aunt Debbie, family Switzerland, even cousin Josh who only shows up for free food and drama. I walked in like I'd walked onto a job site with the framing tilted, calm, steady, about to fix what others had mangled. Brian was grinning. So dramatic, he said. Hope you're happy now. I didn't sit. I set the folder on the table next to the roast chicken and said, You don't get to tell this story like I flipped out. I'm going to tell it, right now, exactly how it happened. Dad sighed. Lance. No, I said. You can eat after. Then I opened the folder. Police report, insurance violation, the group chat where they said we gave it to Brian, screenshots of texts, copies of the DMV title. Paper clapped down like hammers. I could see Aunt Debbie lean in. You took my property without consent, I said. You gave away something that didn't belong to you. You put me at legal risk. And when I reacted like a person with boundaries, you all tried to guilt me into silence. Mom opened her mouth. I slid forward one more sheet, a notice from my insurance company saying any further unauthorized use would void my policy. If Brian drives it and gets in an accident, it's on me. Silence. Brian tried to laugh. It's not that serious. Then why'd you hide it? I asked. Why'd you take the key from a drawer you weren't supposed to touch? Why'd you remove the plates? You knew it was wrong. You just counted on me staying quiet. He looked away. Dad muttered. We said he'd give it back Monday. I looked him dead in the eye. You said you gave it to him? Then I said the line that cracked the air like a dropped wrench. This is the last time I ever pay the price for someone else's recklessness. And the doorbell rang. 2 uniformed officers. Calm. Courteous. Confirming the report. Asking to speak to Brian? Mom gasped. Dad stood. Brian turned gray. You called the cops again? He yelled. No, I said. I never stopped. They stepped outside. Brian resisted, but not hard. He was too stunned. They walked him out while the Sunday pot roast sat steaming and untouched. And me? I poured myself a glass of water and said, Let me know when it's safe to come back inside. Because from now on, my seat at the table comes with respect, or I bring the law. By Monday morning, the family chat was a digital volcano. Aunt Debbie. You could have handled that privately. Dad. You humiliated your mother. Brian. You knocked on your own blood. Mom went nuclear with, I don't recognize the man you've become. I responded with a single message. That man has boundaries. Then I muted the thread. What they didn't understand, or refuse to, is that boundaries are boring. They're not revenge. They're not petty. They're not even dramatic. They're just quiet lines drawn with permanent marker instead of disappearing ink. That week, I met with my insurance agent in person. I slid every document across her desk. She was young, polite, and wore glasses with frames that made her look like someone who gets things done before lunch. "You did the right thing," she said. "You protected your name. Most people don't." I nodded. It felt good to hear. Like someone had checked my work and signed off with a gold star. Back home, I did the next boring but life-saving thing: change the locks. The key my mom had for emergencies was now useless. The garage code? Switched. I even installed a deadbolt on my toolbox, which may seem paranoid until you've had your spare car handed out like a raffle prize. Mateo, my helper, noticed I was quiet on the job site. "You okay, boss?" "I'm fine," I said. "I'm just learning." "Learning what?" That the people who taught me how to be reliable never taught me how to stop being used. He didn't say anything after that. He just passed me the chalk line and let the nail gun do the talking. A few days later, Brian got released. Misdemeanor, not a felony. First offense, technically. They towed the Corolla back to my place with a bill and a citation stapled to the receipt. The car was fine, mostly. A little fast food funk. The faint whiff of cheap cologne and entitlement. I took it to get detailed and didn't say a word when the kid behind the counter raised his eyebrows at the vape pen jammed in the cup holder. When I picked it up the next day, it gleamed. Mine again. But the thing about taking back what's yours is you don't just get the object, you get the choice. So I made a new one. I canceled the auto payments I'd been making for my parents' streaming services, pest control, and phone plan, things I'd set up years ago. Just to help out. I texted, "You'll need to update your payment info. I'm no longer covering these." Mom called immediately. "Are you serious? Over a car?" "No," I said. "Over a pattern. You're being cruel." "No. I'm being consistent." She didn't like that. But she didn't have an argument for it either. Because when someone benefits from your silence for long enough, your no sounds like betrayal. But it's not. It's just the sound of someone who finally picked themselves. The real fallout wasn't noise. It was absence. Sunday dinner invitations stopped. The chat thread went dark. For the first time since I was old enough to drive, nobody asked me to fix anything, cover anything, or be anywhere. I thought I'd miss it. I didn't. I missed what I hoped it meant. The illusion that being needed was the same as being loved. The silence made room for other things. Like peace. Like clarity. Like a Saturday morning where I drank my coffee hot instead of forgetting it on the workbench while running errands for someone else's mess. Then Tasha called. Now, Tasha is my older sister by 2 years. Quiet. Steady. Moved 3 states away after nursing school and never looked back. She doesn't do drama. We barely talk. Not out of distance, just quiet understanding. She opened with, "You okay?" "Yeah." "You sure?" "Better than I've been in years." Long pause. "I saw Mom's Facebook post," she said. "The one where she said you've become impossible and are tearing the family apart." I sighed. "Let me guess. Black background. White text. Something about loyalty." "Pretty much." Then she said the one thing that hit me harder than the police report, the group chat, or Brian's smirk. "I'm proud of you." That stopped me cold. She continued. "When I left, they said I was abandoning them. What I was really doing was trying to stay afloat. I couldn't afford to be the glue anymore. You always were." I swallowed. Hard. "You stood up, Lance. You said the thing we were all too tired to say. I know it cost you. I just want you to know it also freed me." That night, I sat on my porch in a camp chair that wobbles slightly and watched the streetlight blink through tree branches. The Corolla sat in the driveway, clean, windows cracked an inch for air, keys in a lockbox I'd bolted inside my garage. Safe. That was the word that finally settled over me. Not triumphant. Not vindicated. Just safe. The next morning, I got a voicemail from Dad. Short. "We need to talk. Your mother's upset. Brian can't get to work. This isn't sustainable." I didn't call back. Because that's what they never understood. I'm not a system they get to lean on forever. I'm a person. With limits. And I finally know where mine are. 3 days later, Dad showed up at my door. Unannounced, like always. wearing his old ball cap and that same expression he used to wear when the lawnmower wouldn't start, like everything broken is my fault until I fix it. I didn't invite him in. He stood on my porch, eyeing the clean Corolla in the driveway like it had betrayed him too. "You made your point," he said. "I wasn't making a point," I said. "I was drawing a line." His jaw worked side to side, grinding through all the words he probably practiced and decided not to say. Then he settled on the old favorite. "Your mother's been crying." I nodded. "I'm sure she has. You don't have to be cruel." "I'm not," I said, leveling my voice. "I'm being clear." He shifted his weight like he wanted to sit but wouldn't dare ask. That was new. "Brian's having a rough time. Brian creates rough times. That's his superpower. You think you're better than him?" I laughed once, flat tired. "I think I'm responsible for my own mess. That makes me different." That landed. He looked at me like I was speaking a language he'd never wanted to learn. And maybe I was. Maybe boundaries sound foreign to people who've only known help without conditions. "I taught you to work," he said finally, a little wounded. "You did. But you didn't teach me when to stop." He blinked. That shook him more than I expected. Not because it was mean. Because it was true. He adjusted his hat and looked at the sky like it had a better script for him. Then he muttered, "Well, you didn't need to bring the cops into it." I didn't flinch. I needed to bring the law into it. Because I was done playing the role of the quiet provider who lets people take. Then I said something that felt too honest to be clever. "I'm not angry anymore. I'm just not available." He stared at the doormat like it had answers. Then he nodded once, tight, and left. No slammed doors. No threats. That, more than anything, made me believe maybe, the shift was real. I went back inside, opened my yellow folder, and filed the police report behind the title, the insurance confirmation, and the new key registration. My boring armor. I didn't feel like a man who'd won something. I felt like a man who'd finally stopped losing. It didn't end in fireworks. It ended in emails. The first came from my insurance company. "Unauthorized driver has been removed. Policy secured. Thank you for your documentation." The second, from the DMV. Address updated. All future mail will go to your new P.O. box. And the third, from my sister Tasha. Mom's quieter now. Not better. But quieter. Like someone finally turned off the faucet that's been leaking guilt since 2004. I read them all in my work truck, parked outside a widow's duplex where we were patching a wind-blown ridge cap. The morning smelled like tar and cold coffee. My phone buzzed with texts I didn't answer. I had nails to drive and peace to protect. I started changing things in my real life, too. Small, quiet changes that didn't need anyone's permission. I canceled the family phone plan. Switched the autopay to a new card. When my mom texted in all caps, "I can't watch the game. Your father is furious," I replied, "You can resubscribe. It's your account now." Silence. Then a long text from Dad that sounded half like a threat, half like a request. I didn't reply. Not out of spite, just out of being done. Brian tried too. Called me on a borrowed number, the kind he uses when he burns through free trials. "You happy now, bro? You got your little revenge?" "No," I said. "I got my property back. Big difference. You think you're better than me? I think I stopped financing someone who treats my work like a community fridge." He scoffed. "You've changed." I smiled, alone in my garage. "Thanks." That week, I cleaned the Corolla top to bottom. Vacuumed every fry crumb, aired out the seats, tossed his vape in the trash like it was cursed. I drove it to the coast on a quiet Sunday morning with nothing in my calendar except air and road. It didn't feel like reclaiming a vehicle. It felt like reclaiming me. And then came the voicemail. From Mom. She didn't cry this time. She didn't rage. She didn't ask for anything. Just said, "We miss you. I know we messed up. I know we took too much. I don't expect you to fix things. I just wanted you to know we're trying. Brian's staying with a friend now. Your dad fixed the garage door. And I made zucchini bread. It turned out okay. I didn't delete it. I didn't reply either. Instead, I saved it. Not because I wanted guilt or reconciliation, Because, for once, it felt like the start of something honest, not a debt I owed for being stable. Later that night, Tasha called again. We talked about work, about weird neighbors, about how adulthood is mostly managing people's expectations while keeping your spine intact. Then she said, "You didn't burn the bridge. You just stopped being the bridge." I stared at the ceiling. "Let that land." She added, "You should come visit. It's quiet here. No junk drawers full of responsibility." I said, "I might." Because now, I could choose. That's what changed. Not the family. Not the past. Not Brian's charm or Mom's manipulation or Dad's learned helplessness. Me. I changed. I learned that saying no doesn't make you cruel. It makes you credible. I learned that the word family isn't a password that overrides ownership, boundaries, or peace of mind. And I learned that the quietest victories don't come with applause. They come with a clean car, an untouched Sunday, and no missed calls. Now, every time I slide behind that Corolla wheel, I remember exactly what it took to sit there, and what I won't let happen again. Not because I'm hard. Because I'm whole. That's the story. It didn't end with forgiveness. It ended with freedom.